Here we have some growing oysters. These are not the wild natural oysters, but grown on a farm, on our own farm, Isle of Mull Oysters. These are gygous oysters, sometimes called Pacific oysters. They're grown mainly all over the UK now and other parts of the world as well, but they're very hardy. They grow a bit faster than native oysters and are less susceptible to all sorts of diseases as well. On our own farm we have somewhere in the region of 3 million at various stages of growing. Here we have one of them ready for the market or ready for somebody to eat. So if I can just show you how to open oysters, because sometimes people struggle to get into them. One of the problems people find about eating oysters, probably the main problem, is actually getting into them in the first place. And it's certainly in the growing oysters, it's much easier than it is with native oysters, in my opinion. So I advise most people to have a cloth in their hand. I haven't, because I haven't got a cloth here, but it's much safer because there's a sharp edge on the growing edge of the oyster, particularly at this time of year when they've been growing all summer. So you just go in at the hinge with a knife. This is an oyster knife, which I advise everybody to get, and the cheap oyster knife doesn't need to be expensive. And then just slide along to loosen off the top shell, and then you're left with a very full oyster there. It's full of meat. That's a very good oyster. It's had a whole summer of feeding. So most restaurants, just to make it easier for the people to eat, they'll just loosen it off underneath and then just flip it over, and it looks a wee bit more attractive that way. So yeah, that's a really nice looking oyster, and I'm sure it tastes really good as well. So So our oysters grown here are a little less salty than some, because we have so much fresh water coming down the loch. We've got the honesty box as well here at Croig, which my son set up this year. People really love to come down the pier and able to buy fresh oysters. Inverlassa also do the same with their mussels, and I've done that for many years. If you going down to the south end of the island, you'll pass Inverlassa mussels. Just go down and you can buy a 5 or 2 kilo bag. Really good value.